You are now watching Face to Face, live from the CSL studio. Your host, Nesta Cann.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Face to Face. Yours truly, Nesta Cann, and today we have a special guest in the studio. She goes by the name of Diana Bidea.
Diana Bidea.
Diana Bidea, okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. So, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good.
What's new?
Good. I just came back from my parents' house.
Okay.
I'm super close to my family, so I don't live with them anymore, so I try to spend as much time with them as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I just came back from a big fair feast in the town I grew up in.
Nice.
So straight from that is the train was right across the street, so I just hopped on the train and came right here.
All right.
You know.
What else have you been up to?
I've been working on so much stuff. I just did. It's so funny because I've been spending so much time where I came from. I'm from Long Island, and I think after I graduated high school, I spent so much time being I need to be in the city. But right now, it's kind of coming full circle because I just did an event on Long Island about 5 minutes from where I grew up.
Wow. Okay.
At an event space that I literally spent my whole life driving by. And so I performed there.
Nice.
Friday. And
how did that go?
It was honestly so interesting because it was a blast from the past. I saw so many people from high school, and my community is really, really, really tight knit. Nassau County on Long Island in general is very, very tight knit. It's either you know somebody or you know somebody who knows somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really nice to see my high school friends that came out to support, and it's all such love, such mutual love. Even though we drifted, they're yo, I'm so proud of you. We all knew that you wanted to do this, and you have it in you, and hearing what they're up to and stuff. And it's even though we drifted, it's almost we reconnected with a newfound respect for each other. So it was dope. It was so dope.
You could definitely feed off that energy.
Yeah, because it was a different type of love. It was I'm not there with you all the time, but I see you, and I want you to know I support you, even though those people have seen me at my most disgusting, embarrassing times.
Oh, wow.
In high school, we did some disgusting, reckless stuff. So to see them just be I'm so proud of you. I'm please don't remember that time when I was 15. But it was really, really great. It was really great.
So what got you into music?
Oh my God. I don't even know. I honestly, it's I know it can sound so crazy when somebody is I just was born doing it, but I remember my first memory of singing was I was singing in the car when I was 3 years old, and I remember my brother was screaming Diana, shut up, and my mom's stop it, let her sing. So I've always been singing. I used to sing my first CD was Britney Spears' first CD.
Oh wow.
And I used to bring it to kindergarten with me every day until I fell and broke it. And I started singing from them, and it's it's always grown with me. Even if I thought oh, I'm gonna be this when I grow up, I'm gonna be this when I grow up. It was a constant theme throughout my life. So it was inevitable.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So your music is classified as what? It's R&B, pop. What kind of music do you do? Genre music.
R&B, but I classify as R&B only because I think that there's a certain stigma that comes along with saying that you're a pop artist,
right.
And I don't consider myself a pop artist because I think a lot of the time it's so formulated, which is fine for
right.
certain artists. It's fine. But for myself, it doesn't necessarily fit with what I'm trying to do. And the people who trained me vocally when I was growing up, especially my chorus teacher, her name was Miss Lindsley, and she always had us singing gospel music. Right. And my dad always listened to soul music, the Stylistics and the Temptations. So, and then my mom, on the other hand, was always listening to Carole King and really fresh, Barbra Streisand, and so everybody, it was such a mix that I feel my own personal music is literally a product of that, because there's soul to it, but there's a freshness to it as well that you wouldn't expect. Yeah. So I usually go by R&B, but then when people listen to it, they're a little surprised because it's got a little bit of a twist to it in a nice way. So
yeah. Also, are you in a band or just you solo?
It's me solo. However, my music director, Brian Stearns.
Okay.
I prefer performing in a band. I think that a lot of people underestimate the power of performing with a band. Everybody performs with tracks now, and that's cool. But for me personally, the whole reason why I love music so much is because of the feeling that you get from it. And I feel like the live music aspect, there's nothing that can compare to that live music aspect.
Right. That
you just like fills your whole body and you don't even know what to do with the rest of your body because it's just like infiltrating in all of you.
Yeah.
So I prefer to perform with a band. And in this city, like, because bands are so rare to get together, a lot of musicians kind of do gig for gig.
Right.
So it's really just about being in the musicians community, especially in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan, the jazz clubs and the soul clubs, and, you know, getting to know each other. And everybody's very welcoming, which is something that you wouldn't experience. So I prefer to perform with a band, but it's usually just me.
Just you. So your music, do you write your own music or does someone write for you?
I write all my own music.
You write all your music?
If anything, if I'm having trouble with something, I usually refer to my MD or my manager, and I let them know, like, what direction do you think this should go? Because there's never a lack of what to say. It's just like a plethora of what I want to say. So it's like, how can I make this focused and easy to understand for people? Because I know people, like, if I just wrote down what was in my head, it'd be very difficult to understand as an artist. So it's usually what I write with, like, a little bit of guidance of what they think is the smartest thing to release.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah. So you play any instruments or anything like that?
I never was trained in playing instruments, but I
know some people sing and they also play a little piano. Like
right.
How Alicia Keys is, you know, a guitar or something. You
know?
Exactly.
Like, I play piano.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it's not, I was never trained in piano. I was able to read sight music growing up because I was always in music class.
Right.
So I was taught to sight read and I was taught to read music. And I taught myself how to play the piano. I figured out the notes on the piano, but I was never trained. So, like, if anybody watches me play piano, they're like, she's not using her hands properly. I'm like, I know. But that's what I use to write music. Like, I know chords and I know what sounds right. It's like a mathematical equation once you get used to it. So I don't play any instruments, but I use the piano, I'll say. Okay. I don't want to, like, insult people that, like, work hard on being a pianist.
Right.
But yeah.
So how does your music come to you? When do you get your ideas? How do you get your ideas for writing, you know, your songs?
I mean, I honestly think, like,
do you have, like, a formula, or is it something that just comes, like, you jot down piece by piece as it comes? I don't know how every musician is different, you know, so.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, like, there's songs that I've written an entire song based off of, like, a poem I've written.
Okay.
Or
some people based off relationships.
Right. And that's a huge piece too.
Right.
That's a huge piece too. And I've said this before, where I really do think that inspiration comes from within, because we're all living in the same I don't know, like, dimension, so to speak. Right. But it really depends on how honest you want to be with yourself.
Right.
And how honest you want to be with accepting the world around you. So my music writing really comes from whatever hits me, whether it's, like, a lot of the time it can be, like, a piece of honest advice that I'll give myself. Mm-hmm. I have this song on my upcoming EP, and I just remember, like, being so frustrated about my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy. I'm never going to hate him. But the whole reason behind the song is called Make Me Hate You, is because I grew so frustrated. And I was like, us as humans, when we're so in love with somebody and you're willing to do absolutely anything for this person because love is, like, just so strong. And you're like, I just want to hate you so terribly because hate is literally the opposite of love. And I'm like, I'm just trying to hate you so that I don't have to go through this pain. And I remember, like, literally sitting on the floor and be like, God, can you, like, make me hate this guy? Like, I just want to hate him. And I wrote a whole song called Make Me Hate You.
Oh, wow.
And it comes from real life experiences or things that I've seen through very close people.
Yeah.
It really comes from anything, like just a spark of inspiration. I always get inspiration when I'm in motion, which is really weird. In motion on the train or in a car.
Yeah. So I always wondered how artists would be able to go into a studio and just knock out songs just like that. I mean, some people, they can just do it because they get high, they get drunk, and they just go inside it, they just write and just go into the studio and come out with one or two songs or maybe a whole album. So
yeah.
I
think it really depends on the moment of context, because when I go into a studio, I look into, like, what the sound I'm creating, I'm taking literally something that I wrote in my head and I'm putting it into the air to make it tangible onto somebody's phone. So what is the feeling that's going to come with that? What am I going to make people feel? Is the vibe behind the song going to be like desperation? Is it going to be I'm frustrated? Is it going to be hopeful? Is it going to be something, it all depends on how you want to make people feel, because it has nothing to do with me at all. I'm just the messenger. But I think that like going into the studio, I went to school for acting for about a year, and it helped me so much with songwriting, because going into the studio, you really have to like engage with your feelings and what you want to portray through your sound. If I'm going in there and I'm writing a sad song, I have to really get into my feelings and like think about like this everything that I wrote about here or what I wrote about another person. I'm in pain. So when you sing, like, it's so much better to hear somebody really going through it in the music with you, because somebody else out there who's going to hear that song is really going through it. Like, am I allowed to curse?
No.
Okay. It's really going through it. So, like, you want to be able to relate to that and let them know, like, I'm here for you. So it's got to be 100% realistic. And some people can really punch out songs. If they're fun songs and stuff, like, people can punch out, like, 3 songs in a night.
Like, when you wrote the song about your boyfriend, you were able to write that. It flew, right? Did it flow?
I was able to write that song in a night, but recording that song took a few weeks, because there's so many harmonies behind it. There's so many voice tracks behind it. So, it sounds somewhat cinematic, and there's so much stuff behind it where, like, I knew it was going to take time, and I was okay with that, just because there was so much ammo I had in me. Like, I was like, I need to get this out of me, because I know that there are people relating to this, and I can't do a disservice to other people of just, like, okay, like, let's just make this like a bop track, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, this needs to be a ginormous monster that's going to really tie people in. So it all depends on the song and the message you're going for.
Okay. You have any musical inspirations?
Oh my gosh, so many. So many people ask me this, and I feel like my answer changes every single time. You mentioned Alicia Keys earlier. I think Alicia Keys' bluesy sound was something that initially inspired me. I get a lot of comparisons to Pink. Wow. I do. My manager, Steve, was always like, whenever I talk to people about you, they're always like, she's kind of like Pink. And I don't know if it's like my short hair, also like kind of like my edginess, but there's Alicia Keys, there's Pink, but I really love like 90s R&B. I always kind of listen to Boyz II Men. I like Pink Floyd. There's somebody that I've been super inspired of. Michael Jackson, I think, is the greatest performer of all time. In terms of performing,
right.
Like, he's a huge inspiration. Mary J. Blige. Christina Aguilera is a ginormous inspiration to me vocally. Yeah, ginormous, because I think that in a period where people were trying to box everybody in, her voice was just constantly powerful, even in her box. So yeah.
Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
The first song that I wrote, beginning to end, was called Can't Explain.
All right. And the first song you performed on stage, what was that like?
Of my own original song?
Yeah.
The first song I performed on stage, my own original song.
Well, that's a good thing if you can't remember right away. That means you've been working.
I have. That's so true. I think it might have been... it might have been Can't Explain, or a song that I wrote called Red Woman. Red Woman I actually recorded in this studio complex.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I did. That's so funny. But yeah, I did it at SOBs. I think that night at SOBs, I don't remember which song came first, but that night at SOBs, I think I sang all new music. So
what do you think about when you're performing? Do you get yourself, psyched up before you go on stage? How does that work? Do you meditate? Some people like to meditate before, a lot of people have different ways they do things they do. What do you do?
Before I go on stage,
or you just go out there and just perform?
when I'm out there, it's kind of like a blackout moment. Like, when I'm out there, I don't really know what's happening. It's just kind of happening. I don't even remember. And then there's times where I'll come back to consciousness, and I'm like, am I doing everything okay? Am I doing everything right? But beforehand, I still haven't mastered my routine, because I feel like there's naturally, when I'm stressed or when I'm in like a moment of I don't know, getting myself together, like I really keep myself quiet. And for some reason, people love to talk to me when I'm trying to keep myself quiet. And I have to be able to be accustomed to that, because I know that that's going to happen. But I'm just the type of person where it's like, if you see me with my head down and my headphones in, like, just don't talk to me. Like, just don't talk to me. I don't want to be talked to. But it's kind of a sense of meditation, of just being in my own head and running over my songs and thinking about, like, I'm really thinking about the people that I'm singing to. Like, what do I want to make them feel? How do I want them to react? Or how do I want to inspire them for this week or this, month or whatever?
Right.
So it's not about me at all, but I just think about doing,
right,
like, getting into my zone. I haven't figured out the pre-routine yet, but it'll come.
So all the songs that you've written so far, what's your favorite song? And you know what's crazy? I've heard a lot of artists pick a song, but it's not one of their most popular songs for some reason. They always ask people, what is your most favorite song? And that artist will actually pick a song that most people will be surprised about. What's your favorite song that you've written?
I so relate to that.
Yeah?
I so relate to that. My favorite song that I think I've written, I would probably say Make Me Hate You is a really great one.
Yeah.
That one's, I know I mentioned that already, but Make Me Hate You is one of my favorite songs I've written, only just because the feeling that I personally get behind it is fantastic. I have a song called Why You Crying, which is like a really great song. It's very literal pertaining to my life. So that Why You Crying is literally pages straight out of my journal, of just like trying to understand and comprehend, but also kind of like a lady anthem.
Right.
Man, I don't know. I'd really have to sit down with them. And plus, I have a lot of songs that I haven't even recorded that are
that's
some
great.
of my favorites. Yeah.
Do you get like writer's block when you write as well? Having trouble writing any of your songs? It's like some songs like, I just can't finish this song. Sometimes,
and I think that comes from lack of focus or lack of understanding myself. Okay. So like sometimes I got to take a step back and be like, all right, like try to be my own therapist. Be like, so why does this bother you? Why do you want to write about this? Where do you want to go with this? But writer's block, and then sometimes like take a little sip on something.
Yeah,
that'll help a little bit.
You up a little bit.
Yeah, but that or taking my dog. I get a lot of ideas taking my dog for a walk. I don't know if anybody out there owns a pet, but when you own a pet, like, it's very therapeutic. And walking my dog, I like 100% get so many different ideas. Like my voice memos on my phone, you can just hear like trees in the background because I'm like walking along Riverside Drive and it's like like hitting like a hook samples. It's really funny, but yeah. Writer's block usually it constantly comes, but there's ways to cure it.
And if you weren't a musician, what would you be doing right now?
I'd be a cop.
A cop?
I would.
Wow.
My grandfather was a cop, and I think that I take such pride in family and where I come from, and like I always love to help people. And I feel like, especially in this day and age, it'd be great to have, like, I just want to help human beings. Like I want to help people. I want to help animals. Like that's my whole purpose in life, you know. Especially as a musician, I'm supposed to take negative from my life or negative from somebody else's life and turn it into something positive. But I definitely think that if I wasn't a musician, I'd probably be a cop.
Wow.
Yeah, just because I have this sense of love for people that, like, I feel like I just want to help people.
That's something different. I ask a lot of musicians that, so I get things like I was doing poetry or there's something that's kind of close to that, but you said a cop, all right. Something different. It's nice.
Yeah.
So any musician that you like to do a collaboration with that you have in mind? That,
man.
well, let's say if I had like connections in the industry, and I said I can get you any artist that you want to do a collab with, who would it be?
Alive, right?
Yeah, alive. Oh yeah, alive. So
so you're not a sorcerer.
I know if they were dead, you'd probably pick Michael Jackson, of course.
Yeah, maybe.
Or one of, yeah. Well, I'm assuming you mentioned Alicia Keys and
Alicia Keys would be a big one. Another big one would be
well, then someone
Barbara Streisand.
Yes, someone who has to suit your style.
Someone who suits my style. That's exactly what I'm thinking of, because I'm thinking in terms of voice. I'm such like a, because I was trained classically for a long time, and like I noticed a lot of females have been, even when they have unbelievable voices,
right,
they're so pushed to the side, and they're like, you can't, like, hold back your vibrato, don't do it like this, don't sing so high. And it's like, that's the beauty of that girl's voice. So like, I always think of, in terms of literal vocal talent, I would definitely say Lady Gaga, based off of that as well.
I was going to ask you about Lady Gaga. I said, oh, she's a Lady Gaga fan.
I think Lady Gaga is remarkable.
People think she's weird, but I like her. I like her style. I like Lady Gaga.
The reason why I think she's so great is because I think in the beginning of her career, you can definitely tell that her original talent was pushed to the side. Like, she was classically trained. She's been through proper training.
Right.
She's extremely smart and well educated in terms of music and voice, and I have nothing but respect for her. And she came into the industry kind of buying into the image of what you're supposed to be as a pop star, but she knew her talent. She knew her worth the entire time. So it was almost strategic and admirable of her to be like, I'm going to do this for like a few years, and then I'm going to break out and do my own stuff.
Right.
I'm going to break out and do what I know that I'm good at. And there's nothing but respect on her name, whether you like her or not. It's like, she can sing regardless you like her or not.
Right.
You know? So that's definitely somebody that I would love to collaborate with.
Nice. So what else can we expect from you in the future? Let us know a little about you have an EP coming out?
I do. Yes. My EP is going to be called Artemis.
Right.
It's coming out in September.
Nice.
But I'm also not putting a limit on it, because if I feel as if like, oh my gosh, I can add this and add that,
you can push it back a little bit.
I'll push it back. Like, I'm not a perfectionist, but I believe in quality, and if I feel like I can give better quality, I will. But so my EP is called Artemis, and that's coming out later. I'm performing at New York Fashion Week September 9th.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, because I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into, and they had asked me to perform, and I was like, okay, of course I'll perform. Why wouldn't I? And I was like, am I performing by myself? Am I performing on the runway? And then they told me they're trying to get like a rotating stage, and like I'm like, oh, this is fancy. Okay. So I'm doing that September 9th. And then August 28th, actually, before New York Fashion Week, I'm throwing this huge event. It's my first event underneath my company called Frontline Entertainment.
Oh, wow.
And I'm pairing with one of my friends' company. He's curating like the whole art side, Reject Dreams Entertainment, Reject Dreams Productions. And what we're doing is we're basically throwing like a huge event over in Woodside. It's right off the 7 train. And it's going to be like a pre-release for my EP, but I never wanted to focus on me.
Right.
So it's going to be a night of music, a night of art. I'm having tattoo artists come and like tattoo people for a flat rate, drinks, and it's like an end of summer art gala extravaganza party.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So we're working out all the kinks for that, and it'll be all ready by August 28th. So.
And you have an agent, a manager as well?
Yeah, I have my manager. His name is Steve. He's awesome.
Nice.
He's really great.
All right. Do you have any advice? Would you have any advice for someone who just coming into the business, the industry, who wants to become an artist or up-and-coming artist? What advice would you give?
I would definitely say that keep your head down and like have tunnel vision for what you want, but be open to everything else, because there's
head down or head up?
Head down, but ears open.
Okay.
Head down, but ears open, because if you keep your head down and you focus on yourself, but you're aware of your surroundings, you're okay. Like, it's, especially being a young artist, like my best friend is also a recording artist.
Okay.
So when me and her first started coming up, we still are coming up, but when we first started on this journey, we started at basically the same time. And neither of us really were aware of exactly what we wanted. So it was almost as if we kept on hearing all these things from different people, and people kept, whether it was putting these like unneeded pieces of advice in our ears or whatever, it became so clouded that me and her were clouding each other's judgment. And then it was almost like affecting our friendship to a point where it was like we were almost competing without talking about it. And we turned to each other and we were like, we don't want to compete because we're so different.
Right.
Like, people don't understand how unique we all are. Like, there's nobody who is like you that was born before you, and there's nobody who's like you that's going to be born after you. So, like, just know what you love and be self-aware. Be self-aware, and if you have a passion, if you have something that fuels you and gives you a high that nothing else does, run with that. And you're your own artist. Like, being an artist, it's hard in the real world, but like when you're in your own world and you're an artist, it's like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It is. It's like you have your own playground in your mind. It's like, it's better than that. You get to inspire other people, you know?
Yeah.
So just keep your head down, stay focused, and keep your ears open and be aware of your surroundings. You'll be fine. Just keep your center. Keep your center, you know?
So before we go, you have to let people know how to get in contact with you. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, websites, emails, everything. So
cool. You can follow me on Instagram at d.bidea, Bidea. You can also follow me on Twitter at Diana, Diana _ Marie. You can follow me on Facebook. It's the same thing, Diana Bidea. My website is dianabideamusic.com. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay.
Hit me up. I'm very friendly.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show, Diana.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I appreciate it.
No problem. So hopefully next time we have you on the show, you'll be doing even bigger things.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm still grinding. Everyone, you know, it's a constant uphill climb, but like the best, most satisfying uphill climb, you know?
Definitely.
For sure.
All right, that wraps up another episode of Face to Face. Yours truly, Nesta Cann. Take care and God bless.